Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. As of late, I have been spending a lot of time, a considerable amount of my time, wasting it on my New Beginnings series of articles. These are articles related to the changes going on in the global political scene. Certainly there are a lot of frightening aspects to that, and there's a group of very hawkish neocons that are just hell-bent on picking a fight with Russia and China simultaneously, and they have these weird ideas of what a war would actually be like, fighting Russia directly or fighting China. And I've been devoting a lot of time to it. And that has taken away from my articles on worldline travel, happiness, life, cats, art, and other subjects of great importance to me, as well as various narratives and stories of my life that others may find interesting. Today, I am going to devote some time talking about a project that I worked on here in China. That's a project that I had making or trying to manufacture a medicine. There's a lot of expats that come to China trying to find their fortune, just like they used to come to America to try to find their fortune, and discovered that it was very hard to make a fortune in the United States, but it's still possible in China. And I'm a manufacturing, technical, scientific kind of guy. So yeah, that's one of the many projects that I've been involved in. And we're going to talk about that one. But first you have to understand something. When you move from one location to another location, you change because your environment has changed. And that's a very, very good thing. Your environment changes and you change along with it. And after spending such a long period of time at hard labor prison and then moving to China immediately afterwards, where everything was new, pristine, nice, and people were friendly, injected me with a passion to really rebuild my life. And I literally was rebuilding my life from scratch. And I had ended up having many projects, most of which failed. And so sure, I did some work doing this, and I did some work for doing that. And but in this case, we're going to talk about one of my failures. It's not necessarily, well, you come to your own conclusions. How's that? Now, you meet all kinds of people if you're a friendly guy, especially if you're a Wigaren and you're a Western face, and you meet somebody else who's of a Western face who has a family, a Chinese woman toting around a couple of kids, and like me. And so I met a guy, and he was a marketing kind of guy, and I'm a technical R&D, engineering development kind of guy. And together we started talking. We went to Starbucks. That seems to be the venue for a lot of people to talk about business, and this was no exception. And so we started talking and decided, we should work together on a project. And we sat there and talked about different things we could work on. We bounced about some ideas, and then one of the thoughts came on up. Let's make an improved version of erectile dysfunction drug, ED drug for men. Help them get it up and keep it up. Like Viagra, but we had a different idea. The problem with Viagra is that it gives you a splitting headache. I mean, it's a splitting headache. It's also short acting. You take it, you're ready to do the deed, have sexual intercourse, and but if you don't do it right then and there, the effect peters out after a while. On the other hand, you have Cialis, and it takes from 3 to 8 hours to kick in, but it's good for 3 solid days, maybe as long as 5 or 6. And then you have Levitra, which doesn't have the side effects of Viagra. It's also short acting, but it's also very powerful. It gives you a nice solid boner. And so, you know, I'm a factory guy, I'm a manufacturing guy, I'm a bit of a tinkerer. And so I went ahead and worked with this guy, Alan, and we decided to work together making a new kind of erectile dysfunction drug.
这时间倒数，一切变得重复，剧情甜中带涩，你到底想没想过，还随便说说。骑着单车，感觉难以言说，坐在我的后座，浪漫不过就是永不散场。寻寻觅觅，遇见一个你，一见难忘，可能你都不信，把我照亮，笑得那么甜蜜。无法抵挡，喜欢你变习惯。寻寻觅觅，遇见一个你，总能让我变得如此着迷。从你身后捂住你的眼睛，月亮弯弯是你的嘴型。这时间倒数，一切变得重复，剧情甜中带涩，你到底想没想过，还随便说说。骑着单车，感觉难以言说，坐在我的后座。浪漫不过就是永不散场，汹涌的人潮躲过了喧嚣，发出了讯号，一起散步在天涯海角。从前有颗暗淡的星星，因为你的出现变得更美丽，我们的爱就像没有保质期，遇见一个你。寻寻觅觅，遇见一个你，一见难忘，可能你都不信，把我照亮，笑得那么甜蜜，无法抵挡，喜欢你变习惯。寻寻觅觅，遇见一个你，总能让我变得如此着迷。从你身后捂住你的眼睛，月亮弯弯是你的嘴型。时间倒数，一切变得重复，剧情甜中带涩，你到底想没想过，还随便说说。骑着单车，感觉难以言说，坐在我的后座，浪漫不过就是永不散场。时间倒数，一切变得重复，剧情甜中带涩，你到底想没想过，还随便说说。骑着单车，感觉难以言说，坐在我的后座，浪漫不过就是永不散场。
Now, he had the marketing skills, the sales skills. He would just meet people and talk with people and try to sell product, present how it would be best sold, and that's what he did. That was his gambit. And while I would actually manufacture, design, construct, and manufacture these medicines, their packaging, the instructions, and set everything up for manufacture of this. That's kind of the thing I do. Okay. Even though I'm technically trained in aerospace engineering and astrophysics and all that, the money, the thing that puts the food on the table is factories and manufacturing of products. So that's what we decided on doing. And so we decided on a product that would be an erectile dysfunction product. I started working on the synthesis of this. And I found factories that manufactured the baseline components for Cialis and Levitra, as well as Panadol. And Panadol is a Australian and British UK aspirin, like Tylenol, like medicine that contains codeine. And so I ended up having a formulation made for me for prototype purposes. This is for prototype purposes. You never go into production unless you're doing prototypes. So they were making prototype chemicals for me, consisting of a mix of Levitra, Cialis, and Panadol, all based in a filler of I want to in a filler, and then I had this come to me, and I would then mix it with a neutral powder of rice powder, put it in capsules, because it is, after all, a prototype, and then put it in packages that I had designed up and manufactured for the packaging of these products. We were setting them up at 2 capsules for a little package the size of a condom. And the name of this product was Reload. Reload. And of course, how do I know that it worked? Well, both Alan and I were taking this for a while, and in various mixture quantities to test its efficiency and how well it worked. And I can tell you guys, rest assured, that it worked very well. It did what you wanted. Maybe a little bit too powerful. The volumes and the quantities that we were dealing with was resulting in random, spontaneous erections of steel-like penises for about a week after taking it. Meanwhile, you're completely relaxed and calm as only codeine can do. It was a quality product of great value. And we made a bunch of it. Now the thing is, when you're making this stuff, you know, they make batches. And so it costs money for minimal amounts. 1 kilo of the product of 1 kilo of, say, the primary component used in Cialis might run you around 5,000 RMB. And 5,000 RMB is roughly $1,000 with enough components to make 250,000 pills. And so not only was I working my day jobs, but at night I was manufacturing and producing in my house these pills of reload, and then packaging them up, putting them in boxes, and with a little manual. I did the whole thing, and then I was handing them off to Alan, who was pitching these and selling these. And as good as they were, selling them was hard. And everybody liked them. They liked our price points. For us, we loved the price points. Cost us a tiny fraction to make each pill, and we were selling them competitively about half the price of a Viagra. And there's a big profit margin for us. Of course, this is all in the prototype stage, because we were just trying to get a market. And of course, this is a medicine. We would not even be able to market it at all or sell it at all without proper Department of Health approvals. Not only for China to make it, but for whatever nation decides has customers there, and that process could last a long time, and we were willing to do that. Actually, that process would cost millions to do, but if we had a decent sales opportunity, we would take that. We got positive responses. Always got positive responses. Everybody likes to be given some erectile dysfunction drug and say, yeah, give this a try, see how it works. So we had no shortage of making new friends. But we had a couple of big breaks for sales in Iran and in Vietnam. You may think that that is a trivial event, sales in a small third world country, but to us it was pretty big. We weren't there to become super trillionaires. We just wanted an income of a product that would give us enough to put food on the table. And also, true, you have to understand that I also didn't want to develop a medicine that would cause people problems. And that's why you have these rigorous medical standards on medicines. And so that is what we did with Reload. Once we secured potential customers and they were committing to certain quantity amounts, we started to go ahead and get ready to manufacture as well as set up the testing for government approvals. First step was set up the approvals for manufacturing inside of China and meet their medical requirements, and then from there, using those approvals, we would then use the binder from that binder. It's a 3-ring binder of the documents and approval systems, and then we would use that as a basis for approvals in the targeted countries. I know it sounds boring, but I was involved in this about 8 years ago, I think it was. Maybe a little bit longer. Can't think. In any event, that's what we did. And the process was just started to get underway. And I was looking at tools for mass producing. I found a little warehouse I could set up a factory in. I identified the costs of the tools to make it, a couple $100,000, a little more than that, maybe $400,000 to get the systems going. And yeah, I know, you guys are thinking, okay, where's all this money coming? Where's all this money coming from? In China, you just go ahead and you say, look, I've got this going on and I need some money, and we get investors. And the investors give us the money to do all this stuff. So that comes. So I had everything ready to rock and roll with it. And meanwhile, of course, we're still testing the product. But I started noticing something. And this is really important. I started noticing that the medicine would give me gas. Really uncomfortable gas from the top of my stomach through my esophagus. And I wanted to put a disclaimer in the warnings that if you start having this gas, stop taking the medicines and all that. But aside from that, it seemed to be fine. It seemed to work very well. But if you took this medicine, this medication, you would probably start getting gas immediately. It would last for a good 24 hours and then it would go away. And it started developing in me, and because I was testing this medicine every other week. And guys, I gotta tell you, I had garbage bags full of these pills. I mean, garbage bags. I must have had 300,000 of these pills, of these reloads. And packaged in packages, packaged in boxes, packaged in just raw in big garbage bags. And as we're going through, and everything seems to be fine, and we're in process, and customers are lining up, and systems are getting ready, and we're teaming up investors who might be interested. I had a worrisome event taking this medicine. Really, really terrible heartburn. And painful heartburn. So I told Alan that I didn't think we should do it. I think that self-testing is causing a problem, and it's not a good product, we have to change the dosage or do something different. It's unacceptable. And he disagreed with me. He disagreed with me. He didn't like that. He says he's getting investors, and he's got salesmen lined up. You know, we're talking in terms of $1 million investments and all kinds of stuff. And he says, you know, we can get around these hurdles. And I'm saying, I don't think we can. And so we had a little bit of a rift. It was a friendly enough event sequence. I simply told him that I couldn't do it anymore, because not at this stage. Number one, I didn't want to harm anybody. Number two, the process still took long, and it looks like the product, even though it works occasionally, there's a underlying factor that may cause future problems. And number three, you're making manufacturing drugs in China, and if you are not dotting your I's and crossing the T's, you can get in big, big trouble. So I told him, I said, the risks are high for the product, the risks are high for us, and so I just wanted to get back. You have to remember, guys, he disagreed with me, but you've got to remember, guys, I had been in prison, an American hard labor prison. I was not going to break any laws. I didn't care what the amount of profit that could happen. He was talking in terms, we make a whole bunch of money and you can just go to one of these other countries. He says, you don't have to stay in China. I was like, stop talking like that. The reason why there's laws for things like this is to protect other people. He says, I don't like this kind of gas that I'm getting. I don't like it. I don't want it. And so we had a disagreement, and the operation, the project, pretty much ended. So yeah, the project pretty much ended, and I had these big piles and piles of pills that, you start getting this kind of acid reflux, this kind of gas, these cramps in your stomach. You don't want to do them anymore. And so I threw out ton loads, boxes and boxes and boxes, these big garbage bags full of pills and stuff. I just threw them out. And Alan kind of got mad at me. He wanted them. I told him, I said it was very, very dangerous. But he wanted them. So I gave him a couple garbage bags and some boxes of stuff, and we went our separate ways. Later on, I moved to Pago Pago to work on a project building a hospital there. Another project. Guys, for men, you make money. Your spouse handles domestic and spends the money. So I'm just earning and trying to earn. And it's up and down and up and down. We had another project. It was in Pago Pago, and so I went ahead and worked in a hospital. And I took a couple of bottles. I still had a couple of bottles of the stuff there. And I gave them to one of the guys. He's a friend of mine. He wanted them. He says it worked great. He's a little older than me, maybe. Not that much older. But so I gave it to him. And then I left Pago Pago. I left American Samoa, and I left. I had a couple of the bottles. I gave them away, threw the rest away, and I warned him. I told him about the side effects. I says, listen, this is experimental stuff. I'm not going to production with it because of the side effects. I warned him about the side effects. He took the pills. He says, I like the side. He says, I got the side effects. It was really, really bad. But he said that if he take a lot of Tums or whatever, it eventually would go away. And then for the rest of the week, it's fine. I told him, it's not bad. So I told him, what you do is you open a capsule up, sift through all the powder. You take a toothpick, you wet it, dip it in the powder, take that, and that's it. Leave all the rest of the stuff away, because apparently over time the stuff would age and get very, very powerful. So I says, just take the tip of a toothpick. I don't know if he listened to me, but 5 years or so passed, and I'm asking how he's doing, and I heard he got a weird form of esophageal cancer. Maybe it was just random. Maybe it was because of the medicine that I worked on. The medicine that I warned him against. The medicine that I told him that if you do anything, you take a little bit. And right now he is in a home, doing okay, fine. But because of the cancer and everything, he has to be under constant care in a facility. Reload, not even once. There's many, many lessons and many, many takeaways from this event sequence. What I've learned from that on a personal basis is that if there is a hint of problems, especially dealing with drugs or products, you just stop. You don't even say, well, it's a slow chance, or try to justify it. You just stop. Alan and my friend, both of them fell for a classic human nature fault. In the case of Alan, money, money, money. Think of all the money, 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 money we could make. I have this guy lined up. I got that guy lined up. We're talking millions of dollars. All he could think of was money, 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 money. My other friend, all he could think of was, I got access to a bunch of stuff that handles my erectile dysfunction issues, that works for a T, and it's for free. And sure, I get a little bit of gas here and there, but it's a workaround. And here I am, and I'm saying, look guys, I can make and cobble up anything for you, whether it's electronics or whether it's a do-it-yourself teleporter. But for public use is a step that needs to be cautiously presented and thought out. You don't look in terms of the money aspect. You look in terms of what you're making and how it is applied in the body politic and what the consequences are. It doesn't matter how much time I put into making these things, thinking these things, planning these things out. If it was going to create a substance that gave you side effect problems or whatever, then it's unacceptable. And I should have continued throwing out all the items I had, but I saved a handful, literally enough to fit in a vitamin bottle. And I gave those to my friend with the warning that they were expired date prototype ED medicines that because of the age, that time when they were 3 years old, because of their age, their potency had rapidly increased and he can't take the full amount. Of course, I'm assuming that there's a direct correlation between the prototype medicines and his illness. I'm assuming that. There may not be. It may be a combination of other things. So, what you're seeing in the rest of the world, in the United States a lot of times, and sometimes in China, is people go after the money, making things, aware that there's consequences for things that they make or processes that they use, but ignore them because they're making a nice income or that they like other effects of what they're doing. I argue that throughout American, Western, and human culture, there is this human nature where people enjoy this propensity to ignore the bad effects of something, all for the positive effects. And when you have a company or making a product, such as Twitter, and things start getting out of hand, and you set it up as a simple platform and you find that there are people on it that's using it in ways you did not intend, so you start banning them left and right, and it becomes something else. And over time, there has to be corrective matters, such as Elon Musk buying it and then getting rid of the Department of Censorship. you look at these systems, these companies, and you look at them in the West, you've got departments of censorship, you've got diversity departments, you've got all kinds of these other accountants that sole job is to handle the number crunching for the American tax base. When in reality, it's just mixing a couple things together, you're getting a formula, put it in a package and giving it to a person. Americans have forgotten that it's easy to make things. It's difficult to implement things. And we're seeing that throughout American society right now, especially with the neocons, none of which who ever made anything, none of which who ever developed anything, none of which who has ever accomplished anything, aside from making money and threatening for personal profit. Things I don't like. These are things I don't like. And projects, when you have projects, sometimes they take off, sometimes they don't. I've always found projects to be of great interest to me. I don't know how my wife tolerates my various projects going on, but she's always very supportive. She just tells me, you just make the things and make the money. She'll take care of everything else. God bless her, for God's sakes. But that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do, at least if you're me. And that's my story on Reload. I have other projects, some of them doing well, some of them doing not so well. Some of them make money, some of them don't. One of my projects is YouTube that this video's on, and it comes with its own lessons, learning a lot, video editing and all this stuff. Putting my face out there. Hopefully some of the things that I put out here, as embarrassing as they might be for me to talk about, I hope some of you learn from these lessons. I think we all have lessons. I think we all have lessons that we learn from each other, and it's an important thing. And I'd really like to hear your lessons, your adventures, your stories. There's a lot of people out there with things to say, good stuff. I tried to put on the Metallicman website a venue so people could tell their various stories. And at that, guys, I'm going to let this video stand on itself. In everything you do, just be kind and mindful of others. Do the best you can. If you start seeing a problem with something, stop. Take a good hard look at what you're doing. And no matter how much time and effort you put into it, or money you put into it, if it looks like it's going to cause problems or cause other issues, you just walk away from it. Be part of a community, do your best. And at that, guys, I want to end up with my basic words of advice. Be good. Smile. Make a difference in the world that you live in. Be good to dogs, cats. Be helpful. Be the Rufus. Participate. Don't be a spectator. And when the situation calls, take action. And at that, guys, remember,